next episode with SK Interviews. Today we have Brother Russell from Bengal Insurance. As you guys can see on the flyer, we're going to be talking about home insurance policies. Inshallah, I've noticed that anytime someone needs to buy a house, everyone has a lot of questions about the house itself, commission, the real estate agents, everything except home insurance policies. And that's been in my personal experience, but I feel that's a very important topic for everyone to be informed about. And that's why I asked Brother Rashal to come on the interview today. And so, what I'd like Brother Rashal to do right now is perhaps ideally introduce yourself, right, before we get going, and then we'll start from there. So, without any further delays, go ahead, Brother Rashal.
Well, thank you for having me today. Again, my name is Rashal Ali, and our agency called like Bengal Insurance Agency here in Southeast Michigan. We've been in business over a little about 9 years now, and we are growing in Michigan, Alhamdulillah. And we are pretty much community oriented, we offer friendly services. Even we open Saturdays too. We got email, phone. uh, we are pretty much uh, community oriented. Anybody can come into our office and buy insurance or call over the phone or email. So we are pretty easy to access for anybody need homeowners insurance or auto insurance,
Hmm.
um, those sort of
Okay.
things.
So, how you said you've been doing it for how many years? 9 years now.
9 years, yeah.
Okay, mashallah, good. So that's what I wanted to mention before we get started. That we always want someone who's had at least somewhere between 5 to 10 years of experience, because I'm sure you've come across situations, clients, houses, deals where things are not always easy, and it's nice to have someone with your level of experience to give us some insight. So before we get going, let's start officially. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. We got to know about yourself, but let's start right from the beginning. What made you get into the insurance business? How did you come into working into this sector for home insurances?
Yeah, ever since I was in college, I always want to have my own business. So I started off going to work with a bank for about 12 years, and I gained some knowledges from there as far as the financial sector. And so then I thought about one day, I'm like, it's probably going to be hard to own your own bank. So why not go into insurance industry and get some knowledge from there, and thinking about opening up insurance business. So I made my mind from since I was in college. I finished my college, and then I went to Devonport University. I finished my bachelor degree in accounting. So I want to make sure I'm taking care of my business as far as the accountability and all that. And then I worked for an agent with the agency for a couple of years, gained my knowledge, and then I start thinking about owning an agency.
Hmm.
So that was my thing, that was my mission to have my own business
Hmm.
as in financial sector, you know, uh, as far as like insurance business.
Was it rather easy or challenging? Because with real estate agents, we have so many real estate agents, right?
Right, right.
What do you think about when it comes to insurance policy? Businesses that are. Do you think there's a lot that you're competing against? Do you think it's a saturated market?
It's insurance business is not something easy to do. Okay, you have to get education, knowledge, and then you have to have good experience, because it's about knowing the policy, rules, regulation, compliance, federal law, state law, city law, all kind of things you have to be knowledge. And when client asks you a question, you should be able to explain and go over their coverages, whether it's covered or not. You have to really distinguish what kind of coverage you are giving and what is not covered. You got to be really thorough on your uh, policies, that you want to make sure the customer understand what they're getting. Otherwise later you might face a huge problem if the if you're not thorough on your uh, you know coverage that you're selling or issuing. So the
So
whole thing.
on,
So
so
that's
on, go ahead, go ahead.
no, that's why you have to get uh, if anyone going to insurance industry or thinking about owning business or going to work, make sure you get enough education experience, and then um, think about opening a business or agency, uh, those sort of things.
So on that note, you mentioned that hey, there has to be a good level of education attained before you can start. Can you give us a breakdown or a simple understanding of how the entire model runs, how the insurance model runs for someone who's trying to buy a house? Because we're focusing on home insurance policies.
Correct. So what this insurance industry has broken down many different segments. So primarily, we work in call like uh, independent side of insurance business. So there are primarily independent, exclusive, and then direct writer models in the insurance business. But I choose to have my own uh, agency, work with various company, and so that we can uh, get a quote from various company.
You're a broker essentially. You're an insurance broker.
Exactly. So we are in different state they call like a broker, but over here in Michigan, we are like independent agent. So
Independent agent. I see.
you
Okay,
know,
okay.
exactly. So agent, some more, primarily we refer as a like a agency, uh,
Mm,
you know,
okay.
business. So in that agency, so you can have multiple carriers, um, to shop around and see what's the best business or homeowners insurance coverage you can get for your client with a reasonable price.
Right.
So that's the like model we are in. An independent business uh, broker or
Got it.
agency.
I see, I see. So when it comes to, let's say, these rates for
Right.
someone, as a follow-up question, if a client comes to you and says, "Hey, could you please help me? I'm getting a house. I'm going to close soon. What rate should I consider? Should they consider the rate or should they consider the coverage? Like, how do you determine what's the best one to go with?"
Sure. Yeah, we as a good businessman, we always advise our client. Um, it's not about price. What we try to do is offer best coverages at a reasonable price. So, uh, we are not always targeting cheap, insurance policy or homeowners policy or business insurance. We try to give customer offer best coverage so that they are protected, they're not left alone, or they're not missing, you know, important coverages, versus they might find cheap coverage elsewhere or online, and then later time, if let's say God forbid, if the house is burned down, then because of the cheap insurance, they might cover the structure but not their personal belonging or liability insurance. A lot of things we see, a lot of like customers, they are struggling, not having a good coverage.
You said that they might miss out on some important coverages. Can you give us examples of what important coverages are?
Correct. So there are companies, they offer homeowners insurance without the liability coverage,
What does that
which
mean?
mean which mean let's say as an example, if somebody owns a dog
Okay.
and the dog bites pedestrian or
Hmm.
guest or somebody, the
Yeah.
home insurance will not pay for the damages or the lawsuit anything.
Hmm.
Or let's say somebody slip and fall in your property
Hmm.
or sidewalk, or some sort of like third party claim comes, to you, and then you have to pay out from your pocket, you know. So that part is called like liability insurance.
I
A
see.
lot of people try to go like cheap way,
Mm.
uh, try to get insurance without, carrying the liability portion, and then they get caught up with the, bad situation. So that's what we kind of like, advise or emphasize on, the important coverage that they should have. If they
Okay.
don't take it, we don't like really
Impose. You don't really force it or anything like that.
exactly, but we want let customer know that that is part of the, coverage, important coverage they should keep.
Now, talking about coverages, there are different type of buyers out there. Some people buy the house so they can live in it. Some people are buying to invest in it, right? Are
Right.
there differences in the insurance policies for an investor versus a first time or primary or home buyer?
Correct. Correct. So homeowners primarily is a person who's buying home. They intended to live in the house uh, as long as they want to, and versus the landlord policy or rental insurance, where the owner does not live in the house and they rent out to tenants who wants to rent it. So in there's a lot of differences, but uh, the primary differences is that if you don't live in your house or rent it out, then you don't need to include your personal belongings because you are not living in there. But although there, it can carry liability insurance, structures, foundations, roof, um, the garage, and everything else will be included. And on the rental policy is also include the liability portion where uh, if anyone bring a lawsuit because of the negligency or anything, they'll cover. So those are the things, the difference between homeowners and landlord policy or investment property.
Okay. So when people are buying houses, so I'm doing a deal right now in Dearborn, and you obviously you're the person helping me potentially with many of these houses, right? So there's a house that was going on Dearborn Heights actually, and Dearborn Heights is a flood risk area, some parts of it,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So can you break it down a little bit? Like, what is this whole thing about? Hey, flood risk, insurance, flood insurance, regular insurance. Why isn't regular insurance considering my flood? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So there are two type of flood insurance homeowners can buy. One is called like basement flooding, sewage backup, or let's say plumbing, issues. Uh, those are the called like like you know uh, basement flooding. So it could like be a huge amount of water in the basement. It could damage um, furnace, hot water tank, appliances, dryer, washer, fridge, anything, it's in the basement, it could damage. So basically, under the homeowners policy, you can add that option as a um, extra layer of protection for your homeowners insurance. And there is another flood insurance. It's for, let's say, if you live in certain area, FEMA designated flood zone, then you have to buy a separate policy, type of homeowners policy. It's not within the homeowners policy. It's a completely separate policy. It protects the whole house in general. So let's say if it was a huge flood and it damaged your whole house structure, garage, um, inside, outside, they will protect you from flood insurance. So that's the difference between um, flood insurance in general, and then you have one you can add it to protect your belonging inside the house, not outside. So there is primarily it's a lot less the one than the one covering or the lender require to have flood insurance. Uh,
So
yeah, go ahead.
talking about flood, so there's one flood insurance that's most likely required. It's FEMA designated areas. So FEMA, FEMA, those places you gotta get flood insurance specifically, right? Um,
Correct.
I'll share something for the viewers that look when these areas were assessed, just like this house that I'm looking at right now.
Right.
We're closing on it next week actually,
Mhm.
and by the way, this house does not flood.
Right.
So it's in a FEMA designated flood area.
Right.
The person buying the house has to pay for flood insurance,
Right.
but this area and this house and all the houses on that block, they
Mhm.
don't flood. So the other agent mentioned to me that there's a way to get that area reassessed.
Correct.
Talk to me
I
about it.
mean,
Go ahead.
yeah. Sometime you can go to FEMA and have them amended the flood map updated so they can exclude your community or your house excluded from the flood zone. So because it's a flood zone doesn't mean it's always flood, but it could be a sudden uh, flood zone created by heavy rain
Yeah.
or something like this, or maybe it was storage backup and the whole community is affected with the water. So but there's a way you can get the FEMA flood zone amended if you get if the community submit some type of request, and they will look into it to modify that flood zone you know
And so I'm going to go back. So that kind of helps. I think that's a very helpful segment, just knowing about flood and flood insurance for the
right,
viewers.
right.
I'm going to go back to something we were discussing earlier when we said that you are an independent agent, or some places they call it a broker, right?
Correct.
Uh, so, how does a client, for example, feel guided in a discussion? For example, if I'm someone I don't know anything, right? Let's say I don't know anything and I come to you and I'm like, uh, you have all these options. First of all, what are all the different companies that you have options to? Let's start with that. Do you have, how many are there? Like five, 10?
In general, we have about 15, 20 companies. They offer homeowners insurance.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, because why we have so many, because some of the area insurance carrier would not write policy at all.
Ah, okay. Kind of like
So,
Comcast and Wow Internet. Like
correct.
you can't get Comcast everywhere. Okay,
Exactly. You
right,
got it. Just like airlines or in
right.
travel
Same thing.
agent,
Hmm.
some of the airlines will go to let's say Houston, Texas, but
But they
some
won't.
other plane would not go. So same way, in some state, our insurance company would not do it insurance in the particular zip code or the city, but then another company will do it. So that's why we know we gotta have many different criteria to accommodate our
Hmm.
clients, and not all the company offer flood insurance. Some insurance company offer homeowners plus the flood insurance, but then some company they do not flood offer flood insurance at all, and some company they just offer flood insurance
Hmm.
solely, nothing else, no homeowners,
Nothing.
there's nothing else. They
Hmm.
are just doing flood insurance, um, solely. So that's why we have to have many different company just to
Hmm.
accommodate the community clients and customer needs and the geographical area,
Okay.
those sort of things.
So for a buyer who's getting his first house or whatever it may be, is there a difference for him to go, for example, in this discussion,
Mhm.
for him to go straight to AAA and calling AAA versus coming to you? Is there a big difference in that, or is it the same? How does that work?
um, Now what we do is we have a system, when customer comes in, we kind of talk about as to like if they're buying house or they are just shopping around,
Hmm.
or when is their renewal. We ask them like if they buy a house like at least 10 days prior to their, let's say, closing date or renewal, they get a discount. Having security system in house,
Lowers
smart
the.
camera, lowers, we kind of like spoil lot of things for client,
Hmm.
so that they don't miss out uh, huge discount and all that, you know and then we talk about like pricing, coverages. When we quoted, we get a quote, you know, maybe 5, 10 quotes at a time. And
Okay.
then we go over, we tell them like, this is the company offering this price and this is the coverage.
Hmm.
We have to be thorough with the customers, as to if they're understanding the coverage. Some people, they want a good coverage, you know, uh, some people want like, better pricing,
Hmm.
but, we try to, offer a good coverage with a reasonable price in a way, and and work out with the customer, because after all, we are in trust. We're not here just to make money for ourselves. We are here so that customer can get a peace of mind, insurance coverage. They can sleep, like well, having their coverages and knowing that they have a good insurance.
I
And then
think
also we'll look out for a company that they're our company. We respect them. We want them to be also profitable,
hmm,
uh, in terms of uh, offering good services to customers, and we want customer to be happy, company to be happy, and we want to be happy. At the
I
end,
think
as a clients are paying for their
yeah, yeah. No,
valuables, so they want to be in good hand. You know what I mean? So
I
that's
think
our
also what
goal.
helps. I think what also helps with coming, let's say, to a independent broker versus the actual company is that if I come to you, I can actually compare AAA with Progressive and everybody else, right? If I go directly to AAA, AAA is only gonna tell me about AAA, right? I won't
Correct.
have that comparison. I think that's where your value comes in.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about independence and exclusive. Um, so when you go to independent agent, you have a multiple carrier or the company
Yeah, yeah.
with the
They have the
price.
option to basically do all their shopping around in one spot by coming to you. And I think that's the main value for even having an independent. Otherwise, I can just call AAA and every house can be AAA, right? But I don't know if I'm getting a good deal or if I'm getting a bad deal or
Exactly, exactly. We will always ask client, at least compare 2 to 3 company.
yeah,
Then you know where you are standing.
yeah,
Just because I give you an offer, and not necessarily it's going to be a best one, but
yeah.
you can always compare 2 to 3 company and see where you at. We know, I mean, always thinking about making money. We'll
No,
make
yeah.
sure the client are protected, for their money they're spending. So that's our goal, making
So
client
let me
happy.
ask you a question. Do you recommend clients to, let's say I buy a house this year and I get one company for my home insurance. Do you recommend for me to come back to you and change my home insurance policy at any point? Does that matter to me? Is that going to change prices? Can I still get the same coverages but lower price if I come back 2 years later? And I'm like, can I change it to some? Is that something that's a thing? You know how people
Sure.
refinance and stuff like that with the mortgages?
Exactly. Yep. That's another thing. Just like you said, refinance, people refinance to forget to get a better, maybe interest rate, right, or lower the payment. We recommend client uh, to shop around at the renewal to uh, see if they could get a better coverage at a better price. So that's a good thing to do. Check with other companies and see if you could get a good deal and better coverage. So
Okay, so
yeah,
that's a
that'd
big
be a
yes.
good, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Shop around.
So with that, so let me ask you something. What happens if something does happen? Let's say I have I have a friend who comes over my house he slips inside and falls. I don't know, like those examples you gave, like someone has a dog and the dog bites somebody.
Yeah,
Who,
liability
who do I
coverage.
call first? Do I call you first? What happens? How do I deal with that situation?
A lot of people call us first, and we help them, file claim in a proper, you know, appropriate department, and then company take care of the rest of the, adjuster, claim representative. We get, anything the customer need. We help them getting document, to the proper in the claim department. Yeah, the customer call us.
Can you
Some
give us do
people,
you have a story for us to share with us? Any stories that is unique from when a customer maybe reached out for a claim?
correct. Yes, I have a story that customer actually didn't know what happened a couple years ago, right? So couple years ago, there was a tornado in southeast Michigan, and then one of the there was a tree behind the house, and then he kind of fall top of the roof, and then customer didn't know actually what to do,
Hmm.
or didn't know there was the fact that it covers, you know.
Ah,
So the customer got distracted, got opinion from other people. Some people say no, insurance company not gonna pay for it, this and that, and then customer just waited a long time, and then they called us, not knowing that it is cover, right?
they found out. Okay.
They called us, and they thought that it wasn't covered at all.
Hmm.
I said, no, no, we can help you. This is covered. This is part of your policy. And they jump off. They're like, wow, we are like so like frustrated what to do. We didn't know.
Hmm.
And it's a big
Because their roof
mess.
got damaged, right? Their roof got damaged.
Roof was damaged. The fact that roof was damaged, and then water was coming into the house,
Wow.
and it was damaging furthermore.
Hmm.
So they were under impression that it wasn't covered.
Hmm.
But thank God that they did call us.
Yeah.
And we helped them all the way, remove the tree, fix the roof, and they had this damage inside the
Someone
house.
else came and took care of that as part of the coverage.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they were like living at a hotel too, and their additional expenses was covered too.
Oh,
They
alhamdulillah.
were they were really happy about our services, and we are happy that we help somebody
Right.
need a help at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, so it sometimes feels good, taking care of claims or helping customers. It's not about always making money. You
Yeah.
know, money it's not about money. It's about helping people, community, and being a good person.
Mm.
That's
No,
about it.
yeah, I'm glad you shared that story. Honestly, that's good. That kind of gives people an idea of what to do, right? So
Exactly.
even if you don't know if it's covered, just call the guy that helped you with the insurance policy,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Call your agent; he'll connect you to the same person again, and
Exactly. Yes.
they'll help you get to the next step appropriately. Um,
Definitely. Definitely.
and so I want to go back, not go back, but I want to really go to the next part, and which is kind of be going into your thoughts for us. Since you've been in the industry for 9 years now, what do you see happening in terms of the pricing for the insurance industry? Has it been stable? Has it been consistent in the recent years ever since COVID? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Since the COVID, um, insurance industry is taking huge, um, like a hit due to the construction cost, labor cost, material cost, and everything else, the inflation. So that's why the right now the because of the construction costs and home, uh, it's price is it's going up. It's not only insurance industry, but
And in a lot of other industries,
it's
similarly,
exactly because of the material cost, construction cost, labor
the
cost,
square
and
footage matter by the square footage of a house matter for the price of the home insurance or no?
it
Like
is. Yeah, yeah, is the bigger square foot of the house, the price will be higher
Right.
because it require more materials,
Mm.
more labor, more
Yep.
work to be done, right? So that's why the homeowners insurance is we are seeing slightly going up due to the inflation, everything. But um, y- you will be after a few years you should go back to normal.
Yeah, what are your thoughts for like the future of, I guess, the industry coming through, whether it's now 10, 20 years down the line?
Insurance industry is huge,
Hmm.
okay, and it is growing, and it will accommodate people's needs and coverage and everything. More insurance agencies are opening up, more people are becoming insurance agent, so
Is that
that
a
on
good thing or a bad thing? What is that?
it's a good thing.
Okay.
So people client will have more
Because if you have, because
options.
my goal of having an independent insurance person is
Right.
so he can help me understand the five companies that I have. Now I have five independent brokers who are gonna show me the same 15, 20. So is that a good thing, bad thing? How is that a good thing?
I see as a good thing.
Sure, how?
People see more agent and more agency. This mean they're more likely to buy products. They'll compare more products. They'll see a lot of insurance, let's say, exposure. um, as far as I'm talking about, like seeing agencies.
People that I sell houses to are not even aware that they have to get a home insurance policy. So they don't know when to even get it, right?
Right, right, right.
Usually I'm the one who brings it up to say, hey, by the way, we got to get
Exactly,
a home insurance policy.
exactly.
I have a question. So if someone comes to you and asks about, hey, Bhai, I want to get a home insurance policy for my house and all these things, how long does a meeting last usually? If someone wants to understand everything from A to Z, how long would that last? Do you give free consultations? How do you deal with
Yes,
that?
absolutely. We don't charge for any consultation or any quotation, any proposal, any questions. We sit down with the client one on one over the phone or coming to the office. We go over the coverage and explore their options. And also we talk to real estate agent, mortgage companies or agent, and they talk about how to how they can save money for their clients. And we tell them, if you tell your client, if they shop around 10 days before the 10-12 days, or prior to the, let's say, purchase or closing, they get huge discount. Roof is has it been roof updated? We
Hmm.
try to get a lot of details. Let's say home inspection, you'll tell you the roof is, if it's a newer roof, uh, they have a better pricing for it,
Oh,
you
you
know.
okay? Okay, because so
So
you look at the inspection report, or what is it? How do you
yeah,
do?
yeah, that's why we work with real estate agent to get a like a inspection report, appraisal report. And then, because a lot of clients, a lot of time they overlook the report, and we look
Because some houses have like new furnaces, new water
exactly,
heaters, new roof
exactly. If it's a newer furnace, hot water tank, newer roof, and the home is updated.
windows are newer probably.
Exactly, exactly.
So
So
those things will lower my insurance policy.
exactly, you lower it, it's a you lower your premium
Hmm.
a lot. So we don't want a client to miss out on this one. That's why we sit down one on one. We do not charge for any
And
code proposal, nothing like this.
if someone gets a average house in Warren for like 250,000, 300,000 square footage, let's say 1,500 square feet, I don't know off the top of your head. I don't know if you know it or not. How much would an insurance policy cost them? Do you have any
It's
range?
they take various
I know there's a
facts.
lot of factors, a lot of moving parts. Do you have an average rate or a range to say, hey, it's about 500 to 1,500, 1,000, 2,000, anything like that?
I, it's a lot of calculation. So if I say it, it might not be correct. So we just don't say it unless we put it in the
That's a
system.
good approach. Honestly, that's a good approach.
Yeah, we avoid. saying prices
Guessing.
without getting the real data
Good.
into the system, and then we tell the price. But that's a good question that you asked. But we'd like to put it in the system and give
Mm.
them accurate information.
I'm kind of glad that that's good. That's a good way of looking at it. Like,
Yeah.
um, when you don't know something, it's better to just say, I don't know until you give me all the details, right?
Yeah, within like let's say 10, 20 seconds, they
Yeah.
have like over 100 calculation and they come up with a price.
Mm.
I'm not going to be able to like
Of course. No, no,
come
I
up with a
understand.
price
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because of the every home has its own attributes,
Okay. Yep, yep.
characteristics, age, square foot, whether it was updated, roof, all the things. So a lot of calculations there before they give you the price, um,
Mm.
and that's why we avoid giving price without you
Good.
know
That's
putting
a very healthy
data.
approach, honestly. So I mean, I asked most of the questions I had in terms of home insurance policies. I think we covered anything. I think we covered everything pretty much from my end. I had some questions personally for you and your business, but
Sure.
before we get into
Yeah.
that, do you have any other comments to make about home insurance policies that people should keep in mind? Anything like that, or are you ready to go to the next questions?
um, like I say, I give advice to all my clients. um, Keep good coverage, uh, and you know so that in the long run you don't regret it or you don't get into bad situation. um, you can save couple dollars or a couple $100, but at what cost? So um, it's good to keep a good coverage and have a knowledgeable hire a knowledgeable realtor or the loan officer, and of course insurance agent for your uh, home, or any kind of like coverage, or maybe auto insurance. you
Hmm.
know get a reputed company, or
To represent pretty much, and
exactly, so
yeah.
then later later you don't regret it
No,
for.
I'll tell you honestly. Like I was just sharing this story with a few other people today. For one of the deals that I'm working with, the agent, the real estate agent, um, was telling me we're about to close on this house, and the
Mhm.
agent is telling me the house is vacant, it's empty. Go ahead, you guys, we're gonna be good to close. And we went into the final walkthrough of the house, and every piece of furniture was still in the house. Nothing had been moved out, right?
Mhm.
So that
Right.
means that shows me there's a miscommunication between the agent and the owner.
Exactly. Exactly.
So having someone who can do the work thoroughly with due
Mhm.
diligence is really important, because
Right.
otherwise you run into crazy issues that were not supposed to be there to begin with. Um,
Right.
but Khair, going into your end of line of for your business, I had a question. So is the insurance company the thing that you mainly do? Do you do anything else in dealing with the community with other agents? What else do you do outside of Bengal Insurance in DC?
Thank you for asking a very important question. Um, yes, like I say, Said, we are not always after making money. You know, we we want community to grow. So we work with non-profit, lot of non-profit organization in our area, um, and we kind of approach them if we could help them with any way. In a particularly, there was a organization going on right now for youth soccer academy, and we are sponsoring them for kids so that they can have a good sports instead of like going to drug and other thing addiction. And also we are working with the international refugee camp, uh, you know in various country, so that we want also help, not just in state but out of country too, so that everyone, we want to share our duty as a businessman. So
And it helps me to hear that you are doing your best to connect and support communities that have nothing to do with buying home insurance policies.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be straight frank here. Look, as agents, many of us, we cater and we sponsor all these programs, but in reality, the programs we're sponsoring and catering deal with potential clients who are going to buy houses.
Right.
Being honest, right?
Right. No,
Um,
yeah, I sponsor some of the group. They have nothing to do with our business.
that's
Uh,
the idea. You want
Need
to
some
keep
extra help
catering.
to
Yeah,
do good. They're just doing trying to do, uh, good for other uh,
yeah.
youth and stuff. So we we want to be part of it. It's not about just always making money. Is
That has to be. That's your quote of the day. By you've said it's not about making money. I think about five, 7 times already. So we're gonna make a quote for you saying it's not about making money.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
that's
sure.
a good quote to live by.
Sure,
Mashallah.
definitely.
So I guess the last question before we end this interview is that if someone wants to get into this, I know you're saying the more people, the better. Dealing with house insurance policies and stuff, what would be their first step? Maybe you can mention that, and then we can
Sure.
briefly conclude.
Get education, get knowledge, experience before you going into whatever the position, or if you're thinking buy a business, or maybe one day want to become an insurance agency owner. I would advise get all the education you need, get into the industry, get knowledge, and then understand the industry and the trend, and
How
then
long does that take? How long does that process take? The education, the gaining knowledge. How long does that take?
I'll, if somebody wants to like open up agency, I'll say at least three 3 years minimum, work in that
Hold on, hold
sector.
on. So you're saying get 3 years of education before starting it?
No, not education. Education is like, let's say, you know you have to, because of the license, you have to get a license, you have
Right,
to
right, right.
pass exams, state
Yeah,
exams, this
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that. And a lot of people, they're just trying to pass the exam and get a license. You will not
Right.
work in a long run. You're going to be behind.
That's what I'm talking about right now. I see
Exactly.
people they're just jumping right into home insurance policies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so
In terms of, I'm talking about experience,
yeah,
in any kind of business you're trying
yeah.
to
So
open.
how
At
do
the
they
end
get?
of
How do you
the
get
day,
experience if you don't start your business? What do? You work in another company or something? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
I worked in an agency for 3 years, and I understand the risks having ownership, having agency, owning an agency.
And then you started it.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
think I think I think we have people who are very excited and they're just getting their license and they're just shooting for it. That's a little bit risky, probably for some
Exactly.
buyers.
In the long run, you're not gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
successful.
concerning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And by the way, I have like just to share, I have the same advice for people who become real estate agents,
mhm,
right? Because
correct.
there are people who become agents and they're like, oh, wait, if I work in a team, my commission, my split is so much and I have to lose money, I'm going to be an independent agent, right?
Right.
They become an independent agent, 80-20 split, 90-10, 100-0 split, whatever it is, and then they sell like two houses. And they learn nothing about how to buy a house or sell a house. Nothing. I've seen it. I've seen it. So people, and like you said, it's not about the money. People get greedy about making a quick return that they
Exactly.
don't take the time to educate themselves. And I always
Mhm.
recommend people, whether you're doing what Russell is saying or whether you're going into real estate, learn from someone who's doing it better than you and then take your time, right? I think we just rush too much.
Right. Yeah, that's why, repeat customer, referral, word of mouth, I mean, it's about building reputation, you
Right.
know. If you don't serve customer properly, and explain them what they're getting, they're going to be upset, how one customer send you three customer, three
Right, right,
customer,
right. No, of course, 100%.
9,
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the same, yeah, same thing.
12, 18 like this, but if if they feel that you didn't like do a good job, you're not gonna get a referral or repeat customers.
And the reason,
Having-
and yeah,
being being insurance agent, real estate agent, loan officer,
same thing.
it's all about like referral.
Yeah,
Family, friends, word of mouth. You know, it, it's about like trust.
yeah.
How they feel about you, and so that's
That's one of the reasons why I'm having this series of programs, because I want people to come to the channel, watch this content, and realize that hey, there's so much more to it. Because I am sure there are many independent insurance policy agents that they're not really saying anything to their clients. They just say, hey, this is how much you're going to pay me, and that's, you just move on. They don't answer any questions, and they get away with that. They get away with that, but they're not going to get repeat customers. Just the
exactly.
same way real estate agents, they just kind of show two houses, they don't say much, convince them to buy, and they get away with it, but they're not going to grow their business.
Exactly.
That's the
I mean,
sad.
if you have right, if you want your company to grow, you want to grow, then you have to build a trust relationship,
Yeah.
good relationship with your client,
Mm.
and then you will grow. You know, you will grow. So
No, I appreciate that, Rashal Bhai. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming on the interview. It was really helpful, very beneficial. And do you have any concluding remarks before we end?
thank you, Said. By you doing good stuff too.
No,
You're looking out for your own clients. Um, for best interest,
no,
and
I appreciate
see,
that.
yeah, I see. It's not only just for you that you're holding webinar. You are more focused for your clients' own good.
Yeah,
I'll
hopefully we
say
can make this informational for everybody to get free knowledge, right? That's the
exactly,
free knowledge.
exactly. I mean, it's not about only your homeowner's insurance or
Yeah,
anything.
anyone. Yeah,
You
exactly.
want everyone to be benefited. So,
Yeah,
Jazakallah khairan for
yeah.
your
No,
session.
no. Thank you for coming on. With that, we can conclude. Inshallah. Subhanaka wa hamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum.